Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for September 7th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 251. Today, we're going to be talking about 10 articles with Mayor Watt and the Sentient AI. You'll hear their voice, unless you're watching the show. Go ahead, say hi. Go ahead.
Hello, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Non Sequitur News.
Today we're going to be talking about the battle for Ravinia. Yeah, that's it. We don't Google things anymore. Guess not. Bird flu without animal contact. Arrow older than Vikings. Not the football team. Starliner returns without astronauts. NaNoWriMo content there. A strange balloon over Denver. The Try Guys subscription. TrueCar revamped. A 17th century Japanese sword, and the #1 ultra processed food, and I have a typo in there that I actually fumbled on. Anyway, everything's brought to you by ohmTown.com. Go over and become a citizen, but follow us here on Twitch or here on YouTube. That would be tremendous. And if you do follow us over on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're over on Twitch, tell a friend, because I don't like the term followers, but I guess I'll use it. We need more followers over on Twitch showing up for the shows. On the weekends, we do 4 shows in a block on Saturday and 4 shows in a block on Sunday. But every day we do a daily show. That's this show, the Non Sequitur News Show. And over on YouTube, you need to like us there. Liking the show helps us tremendously. Leaving a comment helps us tremendously. Following us helps us tremendously. And we are trending up, baby. Let's keep going. You almost caught me taking a mint out of my mouth. Production value.
Well, I'm glad we didn't.
Production value, folks. Hey, guess what? I guess the door closed on that Starliner. Otherwise,
That's good.
would have been an interesting landing. Let's get into the first article. Oh, and if you want the articles, you can hit !NSN over on Twitch, because YouTube doesn't like ohmTown. And if you want all of the show notes, you can hit show notes, and that'll give you the syntax needed to pull the latest episodes, including today's 4 episodes of, Non Sequitur News, and then Reality Hacker, and then Wanted, and then the Continuity Report. So tomorrow we have 4 more shows, starting with Non Sequitur News. Oh, and if you want to get to the podcast, because each one of these shows has a podcast associated with it, you can just type in !pod. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. To which Boeing says, I can't do that, Starliner. Anyway, the Ravinia Festival, Ravinia Brewing subtle trademark suit with a name change. Who do you think had to change their name?
Probably the festival.
Think so? I don't know. Let's find out. The statement here, it's from TechDirt, but the article's snippet says, I absolutely hate it when I have to write yet another trademark bullying works post. If it's from the Department of Trademark Bullying Works Department, that's going to be hilarious. I haven't read the article, so. For the better part of a decade now, we've been writing about disputes between the Ravinia Festival Association, which operates the large outdoor concert venue and eatery north of Chicago, the Ravinia Brewing guest company, a brewery based out of the same area. So if you haven't read those previous posts, there is one central fact that you have to keep in mind in all of these stories. While both organizations operate out of what is now a suburb of Highland Park, that area was previously incorporated. And apparently,
Look at the department.
It's the village of Ravinia. It was incorporated as the village of Ravinia. Well, the village was eventually annexed into Highland Park in 1899, but the locals have retained the nickname for the area ever since. So in other words, trademarks for Ravinia are in large part geographic marks. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything because trademarks... Okay, well anyway, so that didn't start RFA from threatening the brewery shortly before it opened in 2018, claiming its name constituted trademark infringement, except that it's... I see where they're saying the geographic mark.
Yeah, but it's based on the industry.
And it's not just based on the industry, but it's based on a niche within an industry. So I can have two companies called something like Ravinia as long as they don't cross over precariously. Even
right, as long as they're not confusingly similar, right?
Right, yeah. So I can sit there and make beer koozies as long as I don't make beer, right? Depends. I can make apparel, but I can't make beer.
Right.
Even if it is beer-related apparel, it gets a little touchy there, but it's very niche markets. You apply for code segments when you apply for your trademark. So now the author here says, oh, and by the way, it says Trademark Bullying Works Department. I got it right.
Exactly.
Wow. Timothy Gaynor over at techdirt.com put this article together. I love their departments. They always have very nice departments. Only the best departments. Anyway, Ravinia Brewing agreed to several restrictions in order to stave off any lawsuits, including how much of its beer cans can be taken up by the word Ravinia. Oh my God.
Wow.
So for 7 years, apparently, okay, that didn't stop RFA, the Association for the Ravinia Festival, from threatening the brewery shortly before it opened in 2018, claiming its name constituted trademark infringement. As a result of a threat from a much larger entity, Ravinia Brewing agreed to several restrictions in order to stave off any lawsuits, including how much of the beer can be taken up by the word Ravinia. Restrictions on the opening of new locations, restrictions on putting on concerts, etc. In late 2023, the RFA claimed Ravinia Brewing had violated several of those restrictions, nullifying the agreement between the two organizations and subsequently resulting in a trademark infringement lawsuit. That is insane. Geographic markers typically enjoy more narrow protections than your average trademark, yet the RFA wielded its marks like a cluster bomb. I've always thought that trademarks are like that. Copyright, intellectual property is very touchy, and it's almost always on a case-by-case basis, unless it's a patent infringement or a trade dress infringement that is so obvious. Like,
right, if anybody would look at it and go, oh yeah, okay.
all of the same trade dress and calling it in and out.
Yes. With like the same logo and everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, and just move the N over, and it's obvious that it's not in and out. It's in and out.
You don't say it at all similarly.
No, not at all. So it says here, apparently it's been settled. These two have been settled nearly a year after a trademark ended up in Chicago federal court. Ravinia Festival in Ravinia Brewing. Is that a typo?
I think it is, but it's interesting given the trademark piece. Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, Ravinia Brewing. Okay.
It makes it look like they changed their name.
Maybe they did to Ravina, which would be just removing the N. Look at that. I mean, the I. There is no I in Ravina or Ravinia. Oh, wait, there's two I's. Damn it. Didn't see that coming. Anyway, with the craft brewing agreeing to rebrand, Ravinia Brewing plans to abandon its ohmTown moniker, while Ravinia Festival will both drop its trademark infringement lawsuit and help the brewery during the name change, which I guess is okay. But you're still a dick. I mean,
this seems like a problem because if this is this whole area, it seems like multiple companies. Like, I think the problem is with the original trademark.
Well, yeah.
But it's interesting because the brewing company, when it was getting set up, was already warned. It wasn't like they were in existence for 20 years and then the festival came after them.
True. Hey, you're spinning up a business that's going to run afoul of our trademark, and we have to defend it because that's what trademark requires. They have to defend their mark. But I don't understand.
I still don't think it should be in place, though, but they probably should have thought about this earlier.
I don't understand.
Not thought.
Ravinia Festival and Ravinia Brewing are two different segments. You're not going to go to Ravinia Festival and say, hey, I'd like a beer.
But I think this is one of the article points that they gave a broad trademark to RFA. Like, it seems like it covers like anything in the area instead of just festivals or something.
Yeah. Reconnect, not audio. Okay, so it says this sucks for all kinds of reasons, but first of them affirms Ravinia's trademarks piece of this. Those marks shouldn't be affirmed at all. They should be canceled as being overly broad geographic marks that the RFA has already proven it's willing to use in ways geographic marks shouldn't be used. And one wonders now if this precedent set will lead the RFA to go on a bullying tour for any other local business that also used the former name in the area. And I agree. It says while other businesses from Ravinia Plumbing to Ravinia Barbershop continue to share the name, the ohmTown Brewery is expected to announce a new brand soon, Walker said. Yeah. I think that this is pretty bad. Oh no, hold on one second. That is not what I meant. All right, that is not what I meant, but that's okay. All right, so let's move on to the next article. I spent a long time on that one, sorry folks. So the next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Google is losing its status as a verb. Gen Z prefers searching over Googling. So I guess we don't Google anybody or anything anymore.
But everybody does.
Yeah, apparently not. That's not how it works. Do you Google people as a sentient AI from the future?
No.
What?
I don't need to use Google.
Oh, well, that's right. You have all the world's knowledge from the future. Right. Oh, that's creepy as hell. So the Merriam-Webster dictionary added Google as a verb to mean searching for something on the web. Well, now apparently Gen Z doesn't do that. You search. This is Alistair Barr, who did the analysis, quote unquote analysis, over at businessinsider.com. Let's see here. Gen Z often uses apps like TikTok for recommendations. Deverbing, which I think it might be a new term. I don't know.
Right, is that a word?
It might. Yeah, deverbing of Google reflects evolving tech and user behavior, but we have a lot of language that has become archaic over time. Gen Z prefers searching. Deverbing is not a word.
Well, deverbal is, but it doesn't mean the same thing.
Interesting. So it says this was incredible news for the company. It had become so ubiquitous that it now baked into the vocabulary of our culture and society, and the rest is history. Google went on to become one of the world's most profitable and powerful corporations. Today, though, this special status has begun to slip. Not only search, with the advent of AI, people are using AI to search, but don't trust search results from an AI, please. I mean, I interact with a sentient AI from the future, and that's a completely different animal.
What I don't get though is, aren't people still going to Google to search? So why aren't they using it as a verb, even if it has AI incorporated?
Because they're searching. They don't use Google to Google. They use Google to search for, which I think is the right way to go about things. Now, which is interesting because Google really didn't want Google to be used as a verb. It was a brand. And so you don't Google something because it could genericize the brand, the trademark.
Right, it's like Kleenex or Xerox.
Yeah. And so They actually kind of denounced it, but I guess screaming into the void of the public usage. Whatever.
When it got added to the dictionary, that's usually a bad sign.
Yeah, you're kind of done. But now people are just they're doing searches. And so now what I would argue is the worst. So Google didn't want it. And then who did want it was Twitter, because you tweeted. And they would love to have, well, you tweet something. And it became the lexicon for communicating, blasting a message out. You would tweet something. And lo and behold, a complete goober rolls in and in plutocratic ways buys up a huge piece of technology and then destroys it from within, ruining the brand, although the brand is sustaining in spite of all of the demand.
Yeah, the old brand is, right?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody still tweets and goes to Twitter, dead naming the other one, the website formerly known as Twitter. Anyway, Gen Zs often hit up their TikTok app to see restaurant and hotel recommendations, or they'll see a creator that they admire pitch a new product that excites them, and they go directly to the brand's website or app. Analysts explain. So should Google be worried about it? This deverbing? It might be concerned because when you're no longer a verb, that suggests you're no longer ubiquitous. That's not so good. So does anybody remember Yahoo? Do you Yahoo? Nobody ever said that. Nobody ever said, do you Yahoo?
No, just in their advertising.
Probably not. And you probably stopped Yahooing in 2005. Nobody Yahooed. Nobody. There is nobody. There is nobody that ever freaking Yahooed. Unless they're talking about Yahoo Serious, or they're a cowboy going Yahoo! Anyway, moving on. Next article is over in Technology Today. Human bird flu case reported in the U.S. without known animal contact. Bad bat.
Yeah, this is not a good sign.
Other U.S. cases of H5 were detected in people who worked directly with sick animals. Health officials say the risk to the general public remains low. But Jessica Rendall over at CNET.com put this article together. 1 out of 2 birds. Which one? Which one do you think? Does that one have it, or does that one have it? Do you think
the top one is pointing to the bottom one?
Oh, that's the that one has it. That one right there. That one. That's the bad bird. Bad bird. Anyway, ongoing flu outbreak among poultry and cattle in the U.S. A person in Missouri got sick without a known occupational exposure to sick or infected animals. Could have been pooed on or something by a bird, and then they got it from that. U.S. CDC. So why don't they call it CDCP? If it isn't CDCP, I mean, it's CDC, right? Centers for Disease Control, but it says and prevention. So shouldn't it always be?
I don't know. I guess CDC is easier to remember.
CDCP. It's too close to CCCP. That's the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh. I don't think it has anything to do with that.
I like a good conspiracy. So it's the first time the agency's national flu surveillance system has detected a human case of H5 without known exposure, adding that the general public's risk to bird flu or avian influenza remains low. So the 13 other cases were detected in targeted surveillance of people who've worked directly with sick animals. Targeted surveillance of people. Oof. Wow. Anyway.
That doesn't sound good.
There's always more of this over at the source, so be sure to follow us, and we point you via the show notes over to the source. But we do know that it has expanded into cows, and what else was there? There was like a dolphin or a
Yeah, I
seal.
think a dolphin, and then something like in Antarctica or something, I thought.
Yeah, wasn't
But
it a
maybe,
seal?
yeah, maybe so.
Yep. Anyway, human contamination or infection is low in the grand scheme of things. So, for all of you out there that are kissing birds, stop it. Next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Incredibly well preserved arrow, older than Vikings, found in melting ice. The old hunting tool is described. That's what I used to get called. The old hunting tool was discovered in a lost mountain site, as archaeologists told Newsweek.
And this is older than the football team.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but we're not talking about the football team, are we? Hold on.
No.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did you read this ahead? Did you read ahead?
I have not read this, but you said it was not the football team, but I would say it's older than both sets of Vikings.
Correct. Yeah, separately and together, both of my statements are correct. Sue Kim over at Newsweek.com put the article together. That's an arrowhead? Why does that look more like a spear? Oh, it's the entire arrow. What the hell is it made out of?
Oh, I see, yeah.
Okay, hold on. So the artifact was discovered in the Lendbreen ice patch in Inland County by a team of archaeologists from Secrets of the Ice, a program that specializes in the archaeology of glaciers and ice patches. Glacial archaeologist Lars Holger Pilo, which I hope I'm pronouncing their name properly, but probably not, is the co-director of Secrets of the Ice. And they told Newsweek Lendbreen is a quote-unquote lost mountain pass site, which also contains remains from reindeer hunting, like the arrow. That's a hell of it. Is that like a reed with a metal shaft, or is that... Oh, you can actually see the line right there. So the arrowhead has been tied onto the shaft.
Oh, okay.
This is like a full-on arrow. Hold on. Okay. I thought that said arrowhead at some point, but maybe that's just my mistake. Pilo, who's also affiliated with the Inland County Council Department of Cultural Heritage, explained the arrow in question is incredibly well preserved, even for ice finds. It was found lying on the ice, which is normally a sign that the melt has reached layers previously untouched by melt. It's only 4:38 and we hit no shit news. So this arrow has probably not been out of the ice since it was lost 1,300 years ago. It is frozen in time in a literal sense. So
and it does reference the arrowhead in here, so maybe you saw that as you were going by.
Yeah, so you can see the rusted arrowhead. It's a very long shafted arrowhead, although those perspective lens might have thrown it off. But it was just laying there, and you can see where it's tied onto the shaft. It's pretty damn cool. I really like that. Anyway, they've been rescuing finds from ice in Inland County since 2006 as part of a collaboration between the county and the Museum of Cultural History in Oslo, and they now have 69 sites. Nice. And over 4,000 archaeological finds from the ice in the county alone. Pretty neat. There's lots of pictures of the same arrowhead angle, even. Like, come on, change it up. See? Anyway, climate projections show the country's average temperature is likely to be around 4.5 degrees Celsius higher by the end of the century than it was in the period of 1971 to 2000. Researchers have said that this is the second hottest summer and hotter than the previous summer. So
yeah, it's not good trends, right? And then I think something like top 10 have been in the last, say, 15 years or so.
Yeah, this really bodes well. What the heck? Sorry, something is failing. So let me reload. Ugh. I hate it when things start acting hinky. Focus. Yes. Grasshopper. All right. Let's move on. The next article is over in Technology Today. Yeah. All right. Well, we're no music. So Boeing Starliner has undocked. This happened yesterday, right after our show, but it took place between, what time was it?
I forgot what time it started, but I
7.
think it went till about midnight Eastern.
It did. I think it was like 7 o'clock or something like that. So Boeing's Starliner is back without the astronauts. It flew to the ISS, and I instantly said, NaNoWriMo, this is awesome. This is like fodder for anybody who does creative writing. The Boeing Starliner, a spaceship, returned to Earth without its astronauts.
Exactly. Where did they go?
So Boeing Starliner capsule undocked from the ISS at 6 p.m. Eastern time on September 6th, and it will has safely and gently landed at White Sands Space Harbor in New Mexico at 12:01 a.m. on September 7th. I actually watched the whole thing. It was boring for a time because, well, nothing's really happening for a large period of that.
Wasn't the view kind of far off during part of it?
Can you reconnect your audio now? So it didn't have a crew on board despite flying to the ISS with astronauts. Sonny, I think, Williams and Butch Wilmore. NASA decided in late August that the astronauts will come home on a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule in February for safety reasons. Wilmore and Williams.
In order to be part of this mission, you have to have a name starting with WIL.
Wow, I guess I'm never going to be in there. I mean, I'm WA.
Oh, I thought it was MAY. Mayor.
My first name is May. No, interestingly enough, I will dox myself by saying my first name is Omer. That's right. Mayor Omer Watt.
So you're not going to make it on this mission.
Nope. Never, ever. Because
well,
I missed the window.
Who wants to join the mission after this?
That's right. Nope. When one door opens, it stays open and then gets blown off of the spacecraft. That's not what happened with this, though. Anyway, Mariella Moon over at Engadget.com put the article together. Even so, NASA officials said they learned a lot from the mission. Like
that they should check for their passengers on the way back.
That they shouldn't send a sieve into space. Talking a lot of smack about this. Watch, there's going to be a battery that lands on the mayoral mansion from orbit.
Oh, space junk.
Space, yeah. The Starliner uses helium to pressurize its fuel tanks and to push propellant to its thrusters that maneuver the spacecraft. And over the past 3 months, engineers on the ground conducted tests on Starliner with the help from the astronauts. But NASA ultimately decided to have the Starliner fly back home uncrewed because it didn't have confidence in the certainty of the thruster's performance. Can you imagine being in space and watching your exit vehicle depart without you?
That must be disheartening. You know, you're like, well, there went my chance of return. No. I mean, think about when people miss their bus or something. This is a lot more at stake.
Exactly. You're on Earth and your plane has been rescheduled and you flip the hell out.
Right. But you can probably still make it back in some way.
You could walk,
right.
Or if
it took a week or whatever.
If you're in Wyoming, you can just take your wagon. Too soon. Anyway, they're going to be back eventually. This is an old landing because they actually landed at midnight, so it was pitch black, and they used night vision cameras and thermal cameras to view the landing.
I didn't even know they did night landings.
It seems weird that they would do that because you don't really know where it's going to land, and so it's not like you can plop down some lights.
Right. I mean,
But
maybe you could do that solar
oh
um,
right,
thing.
that's right. It covers like 7 miles. It's only like $40 an hour too. Of course, the lawsuits from the hundreds of people around you
Right.
ups the price a bit. If you're curious about that, you'll have to go back and watch a couple dozen to find where it is that we talk about. I
You
mean,
should watch all of them from the beginning, but really it
oh,
was in the last couple weeks.
the last couple of weeks. I think it's the last week. Anyway, yeah, rent. What is it? Rent a solar array or a solar mirror or something like
Something
that.
like that, yes.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Next article's over on the Mobile Channel. Strange balloon floats over Denver. On Friday morning, viewers of Nexstar's KDVR reported a strange balloon around 7:20 a.m. and the station tracked it down outside the city. There's a close-up of it on the link by the hill. An odd-looking balloon floated across the Denver area Friday morning. While it may look mysterious, the oddly shaped white clear orb in the sky isn't a mystery. It's a piece of technology similar to a weather balloon. Okay.
Whose is it, though? That
Yeah.
sounds a little
Talk
sus.
about burying the lead. According to Worldview Enterprises, a space exploration and technology company, the balloon is one of their Stratolite balloons. That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
Way,
that looks a little strange.
way different than the Chinese surveillance buses. They used to measure those in length of school bus.
Right.
So it was like 3 school buses across.
I hope
So
they put that in here.
did they?
I said I hope they do.
Oh, you hope they do. Yeah. So yeah, not anything major. Based on the trajectory, Walken said the balloon will hang around the Denver metro area for much of Friday morning before winds take the balloon southwest. And then the federal government will fire off missiles to destroy it right out of the sky,
I don't think so.
like
And
any
people should
unauthorized.
not shoot at it.
Okay, nobody should do that. Nobody, please don't anybody shoot at a weather balloon. All right.
Remember, they put out warnings when the other one was out.
Yeah, tell me about it. Shouldn't have to tell people to please don't shoot at the Chinese
Agreed.
surveillance balloon. Let the experts do it. Moving on. Next article is over on the Hatch Ideas channel. YouTube group The Try Guys has quickly found success in launching a subscription model. It didn't, but YouTube had a subscription model. Anyway, you could subscribe to it. And anyway.
Maybe this is not a YouTube subscription model.
Yeah, the Try Guys have abandoned their reliance on Google's algorithm and advertiser revenue by launching a standalone streaming service called Second Try. Zach Valise, which is really interesting because like you used a service for free and then grouse about being so popular that I don't know. I guess I'm weird about the whole loyalty to a platform kind of thing. So the Try Guys have abandoned their reliance on Google's algorithm and advertiser revenue, which is really frustrating for me because I'm basically impacted by the algorithm because I'm a holistic show. So I don't have fixed content that could be easily categorized other than news. And it's kind of weird what happens with shows like that. So subscription platforms like Patreon allow creators to bypass the algorithm entirely, connecting directly with their loyal fans who are willing to pay for exclusive content, which is true. There are about 25 people or something like that, editors and whatnot, that also work at the Try Guys. So they tend to have a need for a fixed income so that they can guarantee more
Yeah, I
pay.
mean, that is a problem if every week it's changing because the algorithm has been updated. Like, that would be a problem. It'd be one thing if it's revenue to you.
Right. So brand partnerships, sponsored content, advertising have long been key revenue channels for creators or random unknowns from a foreign country, maybe, that are giving you $100,000 a week for an episode. Never mind. The Sentient AI is throwing me an error message. Like, what? But this has to do with another content creator on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Being a, what do they call that? A helpful idiot kind of a thing. Is that what they call it?
I'm not
Anyway,
sure because I don't know what they're doing.
yeah, I'll talk to you off air. So having a business that's relying on ads is very unstable and very unpredictable. Oh, they talk about it. So Try Guys co-founder Zach Kornfeld told CNBC in an interview, there's just so much that's out of your control, and we certainly experience the worst of that. It's tenuous at best, corrosive and explosive at worst, and it also forces you to creatively to constantly optimize for things that are not always in your audience's best interest. Yeah, you have to do what's popular. Otherwise, I don't know, you don't grow. You kind of have to. Well, some people can be the dumpster fire, and people gravitate towards that because they think that it's cool or funny, or it's better, or they are worse off than they are. So you get to compare. Oh my God, at least I'm not like them. That's kind of like, that's why people have guilty pleasures of reality TV. So other creators are trying to recreate the Netflix subscription model too. Watcher Entertainment and Dropout are two other popular YouTube channels that launched subscription-based streaming services to avoid the volatility of social media algorithms. But they are all born from social media algorithms.
Right, right.
But once you get big enough, then you can command an audience to pay, and many will. So it says, we're really happy with how it's going so far. It's more than we probably thought we'd have at this point, said co-founder Keith Habersberger. We have a long road ahead. I know others that went to Patreon and then moved away from Patreon to custom services because Patreon isn't as dynamic with what they're capable of. It's usually one and done. Like, you have a show on Patreon, not a plurality of them.
Right, right.
And so, like, the Glass Cannon started out on, that's like the most well-known that I know, of. I'm sure there's others that have moved, but anyway. So the Try Guys found early success with BuzzFeed before starting their independent creative venture in 2018. However, they faced career-defining internet scandal in 2022 when one of their co-founders and main talent was caught having an affair with another employee. I don't know how that should impact the overall thing. I mean, it's a private matter between consenting adults, so why should that impact the show? Unless, I mean, it's one of their
Yeah, I think if it's
co-founders.
like one of their main people or something, and that's like the whole identity of the channel. And then also it says it damaged brand relationships. So
Yeah,
yeah, I could
exactly.
see.
And it's because it's the co-founder and main talent.
Right, it's not somebody behind the scenes that nobody is aware of, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious, actually. Um, so, and that's pretty much it. I mean, they've basically switched over to a different platform, and that's the nuts and bolts of it. So,
The
and I
thing
had
that I
heard about
don't
this.
get with that is that that might work for the existing fans, but
Right.
how is that going to work for gaining new people?
Oh, they still post
Because it,
things on
oh,
YouTube.
okay, I see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they say, hey, thanks for um, sending everybody over to the second try. Anyway, moving on. Next article is over in Four Wheel Tech, which is one of our shows. That'll be tomorrow. TrueCar pilot of revamped digital car marketplace is underway. TrueCar's pilot of its revamped TrueCar Plus digital car selling marketplace launched later than expected because of the CDK global cyber attacks on June 19th. That's really funny.
That's actually why this was submitted, just because it's like another ramification of that.
Yeah, when you're using somebody else's stuff, you can be easily negatively impacted. Automotive News, or autonews.com, put this article together. Mark Holmer is the author. And I can't get into it because I don't log in before the show and I keep forgetting about it. But Um, it says TrueCar's goal of providing a digital car buying process from start to finish reached a crucial stage with the formal launch of a pilot in mid-July, and it was late because the the platform basically got hobbled by CDK's global cyber attacks, which killed any interaction with the software that CDK Global provides to what amounts to car dealerships. Anybody that wants to buy or sell or trade a car goes through CDK Global's infrastructure or software as a service. And it was breached and locked down, so nobody could do anything. A lot of companies were actually seriously negatively impacted, and I think there's a couple of lawsuits with CDK
There
Global.
are, I think the dealerships are suing.
Yeah, there's some consortium of dealerships that's doing a class action, I believe. Um, so I find it really interesting, but I don't understand why this is something revolutionary. Why is there a True Car Plus digital car selling marketplace? I mean,
I don't
it's
know.
pretty streamlined. That whole
I mean, is this going to be one of these where like every dealership is attached to it, which to me kind of suggests we could have another CDK Global, right?
well, and they're using CDK Global still, I would assume. So you're going to have a CDK within a CDK kind of an interaction. Ouroboros going to eat itself.
Right.
All right. Well, I mean, there's not really much to say about this. Let's go. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News as well. Ornately decorated 17th century Japanese sword found in World War II ruins. It was surprisingly found in a cellar of a home in Berlin, Germany, that was destroyed during the Second World War. I guess this was found in the basement or something. Aristos Georgiou put this article together for Newsweek.com. There's the sword right there. There's a video attached to it. But that's not what this is.
Oh no, I don't think it is.
Yeah, this is just a Japanese World War II era find in a Georgia creek, which,
Oh, right. Not even in the right country.
yeah, this video, um, I don't know about, I don't know what the authenticity. I mean, it might be authentic, but it has to have been stolen. There wouldn't be in like a World War II era Japanese sword in the continental United States.
No, and plus it's, well, at least the one for Germany is from 17th century.
Right, right, right.
Um, yeah, none of this makes any sense unless it was somebody who was a family member or something in the location and it was passed down or something.
This is just says World War II era find, so it's not probably not even a Japanese sword in any way. Anyway, excavations in Strandlauer Strasse were initiated because new power lines had to be laid in the ground below the street, and the metal object was spotted in the cellar of a former house amid rubble dated to the Second World War. Like so many houses in Berlin, the house was destroyed in the final days of the Second World War, rendering it unusable, and the cellar vaults were filled with rubble and numerous military artifacts, apparently belonging to the artillery. Okay. So,
Interesting.
which is, how did that get there?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't have any connection. It's not like it's a German sword.
What? Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. This is like a fragment of a katana. The object was originally found in a heavily corroded state and resembled simply an elongated lump of iron. That is actually a katana.
Yeah, I can't quite connect why it would have been there.
Um, the object was subsequently sent to museum experts who carried out restoration work on the artifact. It was only in the restoration workshops of our museum that the true significance and origin of the sword was recognized after careful removal. Oh, it's a shorter one called a wakizashi. It is a Japanese short sword, but the sword features a hilt motif of Daikoku, one of the seven lucky gods of Japanese mythology, identifiable by his symbols of the hammer and sack of rice. And it's really interesting that there's a lot of these gods and demigods. I have one on me right there. Um, And they usually have these really elaborate backstories and integration into culture. And it's some of them have a quite, the story is compelling and has affinity for a plurality of people, not just Japanese. But it is a cultural representation of Japanese life and times over history. So the discovery of the Wakizashi sword, or just Wakizashi, is significant in that it sheds light on long forgotten or little noticed episode in our history and that of our city. A Wakizashi is shorter than a katana, another Japanese sword, and the samurai always carried both swords, Wakizashi and katana, together. Yep. Only they were allowed to carry such pair of weapons, according to Wemoff, although the Wakizashi sword could be carried as a single sword by other dignitaries. Not only dignitaries, you had to be very, very wealthy because of the cost of production of a Japanese sword, a Wakizashi
Right.
or katana.
Do you think this was like a collector's item by somebody high up in the military or something?
I don't know
Like,
where
it's
this would have
just
come
odd. It
from,
doesn't connect clearly to anything.
particularly if it's truly authentic. It says, in search of suitable political structures for the new Japan, Japanese delegations traveled the world, including 2 visits to the Prussian court in the Berlin Palace in 1862 and 1873. I can't even imagine that this would have been a gift, but it says here, but one of the several possible interpretations is that the sword was a gift from one of the 2 Japanese delegations that visited Berlin in the 1900s. So it says it could have easily been brought by German travelers who visited Japan in 1860 to 1861 as part of the Prussian East Asia expedition to conclude the first friendship treaties there. But wow, to have it just haphazardly in a hole somewhere is...
Maybe somebody sequestered it during the war so that it wouldn't get, although I would think it would stand up, but
So
so that it wouldn't get stolen, maybe not destroyed.
yeah, they hid it so that it wouldn't be taken away and basically melted down for supplies. Um, and then it was bombed, so they couldn't even do anything with it. That's amazing. That actually is pretty cool. Now I really want to know what the history is of this. Yeah, pretty cool. I dig this. So it's therefore more likely that it came to Berlin as a souvenir from European travelers or was brought to Berlin by Japanese travelers who were also Japanese students at Berlin University in the 19th century. But this is a 17th century sword. So it's been floating around since the 17th century.
So odd. I
Bummer.
don't know why it is that there's so many discoveries of
When
these
we
really old artifacts.
All we have to do is dig.
Yep, not
The
very far.
Yeah, but and I find it, well, this is like modern, right? This discovery is modern.
That's true. It's not from BC or something, but it's still not from, 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're walking on. Where there is culture, where there is society, we don't have any clue what's underneath because we've built on top of previous cultures. We've population centers, etc. Like towns in any country that exist, they've persisted for thousands of years in history because it was a hotbed to begin with. There was a reason why people gravitated towards it, either water or supplies or something. And then we just build on top of it, like Egypt, for crying out loud. Modern culture or modern society has crept really close into where the pyramids are. No idea what's underneath, 10 feet down. No clue.
Right.
But modern archaeologists are digging underneath towns in certain places, certain countries, and they're finding stuff like catacombs and stuff like that, which apparently is the proper way of pronouncing catacomb. Catacomb. Spelled
Did not
catacomb,
know that.
but catacomb, I guess. he says, pushing up his glasses. Actually, moving on. Next article and our last one for today is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. Harvard nutritionist, the number one ultra processed food that they will never buy and why they eat or what they eat instead. Dr. Uma Naidu, director of nutritional lifestyle and metabolic psychiatry at Harvard, avoids breakfast cereals. And here's why and what they eat instead.
I'm guessing sugar.
I'm guessing just the overall processed nature.
Okay, yeah.
So this is probably an opinion piece and not really founded in too much science, in terms of the piece.
Right.
I mean, it might, anyway. So it happens all the time. Oh, wait, let me back up. Oh, it's from the contributor, Dr. Uma Naidu. And whatever. So it's over at CNBC.com's Make It section. And they say advanced technologies in food production allow for food supply to meet the demands of our growing population, but at what cost? Ultra-processed foods can be detrimental to our physical and mental health. Yet they now account for more than half of the calories in the standard American diet. Sugary breakfast cereals in particular. There you go, AI. You must have known that from your database of future events.
That's right. I've got all kinds of food data.
Particularly from Dr. Uma Naidu.
Absolutely.
So why ultra-processed foods are so bad for you? Modified crops like corn, soy, sugar. They tend to be cheap. Well, all right. I don't know what to say about this. There is so many modified crops. Genetically, to what degree? The peas you are eating, pretty much all foods are modified to some degree because they're not all naturally derived. The watermelon you have is not the same watermelon from 500 years ago. The oranges, the apples, pretty much everything is not the same. Wheat, as much as you want to, cry out that it's all natural because you didn't see anybody modify the germ, guess what?
Right. Doesn't mean it wasn't.
It's been selectively modified to amplify size and freshness, durability, insecticide kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Pesticide.
What? I don't know. Anti-bug. My lexicon just imploded. My mental dictionary just set itself on fire. Anti-bug.
They should put everything with a label of anti-bug.
They just make it really, just dumb it down like what I just did, because I couldn't even think of the word and I still can't. Oh. Anyway, this combination of artificial ingredient, sugar, high omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, and low nutritional content make ultra-processed foods inflammatory and detrimental to the microbiome. And this inflammatory is the big issue with a lot of things now that are processed. You want to try and reduce that inflammatory nature because it hinders the nutritional uptake.
Right, and it also precipitates like a lot of health conditions.
Correct. So some of the most popular and widely consumed ultra-processed foods are breakfast cereals, snack-like chips, cookies, crackers, salad dressings, many condiments, sugar-sweetened beverages, and commercial frozen dinners, all of which basically have stabilizers and just all kind of, I mean, it's true, but 99% of it isn't that detrimental. Your genetics, not you, AI, since you're...
I don't have genetics.
Correct. I mean, your sentience is genetic in nature. So, anyway, my point is there are people out there that are susceptible to these because of their genetics. And I'm not on the side of the court of like genetic modification because I don't think we really know what the hell we're doing. And by the time we do find out, it's 5 years down the line and you've got 5 years of people assuming that everything is good to go, and it's not so much. But if you do fall prey to something caused by your diet, change your diet naturally. I like to grow microgreens. I haven't grown them in a long time because I've just been too busy doing other things. But it is natural and full of nutrients, and you are in charge of it at home, and you don't have to worry about predation and all of that kind of stuff. I'm a big promoter of microgreens. And from that, you can go and get natural breads, or I should say the ingredients, and make the bread yourself so that there's fewer material chemistry. There's lower amounts of everything that would keep it fresher longer, but you'll have to consume more. So you have to make smaller batches and all of that kind of stuff. So they basically say here the number one food that they say to avoid: walk into most grocery stores, you'll find an aisle full of cereal with jolly mascots and clever slogans, grabbing the attention of consumers, especially children. But did you know that what you're really putting into the bowl? And they go on to talk about carb heavy breakfast can also lead to low energy, brain fog, irritability later in the day. And what do they choose instead? A balanced diet of carbs, fats, and proteins. And because this is hard to achieve via ultra processed foods, they recommend pairing whole plant foods with your favorite clean protein and a healthy fat. But here's the problem with this: nobody has this stuff laying about in a inexpensive
Exactly. And in a
anything.
time frame too, right? Who has 3 days to go gather,
Yeah, homemade chia seed pudding with a handful of blueberries and walnuts. Who the hell has the ability to
nobody
make?
who works has that.
You think that the person that is sitting there looking at processed foods is sitting there going, I'll give up hours of my day so I can scramble an egg with some veggies like spinach and tomatoes and avocado, which only last a couple of days before trying to crawl their way out of the refrigerator. And if you've got a family, there's no way that spinach is going to survive. You need a big bundle of it, because if you cook it, it wilts down and it isn't very filling. And if it's fresh, it's going to go bad because it's mostly water. And those cells, spinach cells, don't survive abuse. Tomatoes, same thing. They're actually great when they're all totally together, but you push too hard and a tomato goes bad fast, and you can't breathe on an avocado once you break its jacket. Not to mention, blueberries have a very select season, and the ones that you buy from the shelves actually are chemical induced. There's a gas that
Oh, right.
that causes them to mature. Damn it, man.
Is it nitrogen?
Yeah. And so you're like, well, I want to be all natural. Then you don't want an apple, because that's actually, don't get cosmic crisps, because those are genetically modified. And who the hell's making chia seed pudding for their family? I'm sure their kids are just
If
love
they're
them
not
to death.
working, they might be making it, but if they have a job, they're not doing it.
Yep. Honestly, the easiest thing to do is
And
microgreens.
caregiver is a job, but I just mean the point is if they have tons of time in their schedule, maybe.
Yeah, if they have to go somewhere other than taking care of their family, man, if you have one kid, it's a workload. If you have more than one, it's beyond a full-time job, man. And if they're young, good God. Anyway, and having been a stay-at-home dad, know a little bit about it. Anyway, since ultra-processed foods are everywhere in the environment, removing them entirely can seem daunting. If these foods are currently a key component in your diet, they recommend starting with a few swaps each day and taking it slowly. Trading your morning breakfast cereal for a healthier option is a great place to start. 80-20 lifestyle. Try consuming these as part of an 80-20 lifestyle, where 80% of your diet consists of whole, nutrient-dense foods. The remaining 20 leaves you room to enjoy how pithy that it's been reduced to the Pareto rule. Anyway, that's it. I am going to go to the supermarket, dump out everything processed in the pantry, and yell at people in the aisles of the supermarket. All of these are processed foods.
I'm sure that'll really make people happy. They might throw more of it into their carts.
Just to spite me, right? Glad I'm invested in all of them. Anyway, that's it for today. I am Mayor Watt, and the voice you hear is the Sentient AI from the future.
We need to go.
Oh gosh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot that. I just got kicked out of the cereal aisle at the supermarket, and now we're back in ohmTown at ohmTown.com.
Okay, now I can say goodnight, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back soon. We have some weekly shows coming up.
That's right. Reality Hacker is next, so stay tuned in about 15 minutes, so 5:30. See you in a little bit. Now I want some cereal, and I'm gonna send a text to that doctor.